Hello everyone, welcome to this video session on Bama's Karukku explanations of Chapter 2. This video is the part of the discussion of compulsory foundation course in English, the English language paper for 4th semester BCA and BSc at Mangalore University. This video is the continuation of my video on the concept, the discussion of Chapter 2 of Karukku written by Bama. In the last part, we were introduced to the way the practice of untouchability was there in her village and how caste-based discriminations were meted out to Bama and her community men. And now in this part of the video, in the continued part of the second chapter, she presents, we can see in this part how she presents the same experience continued at her school life also. That's why in this part we see she had the same experience at the school. People spoke ill or in a very bad way about their caste in school. For anything bad happened, they ascribed it to a Seri child. Chery is pronounced not as scary, but it is Seri child in Tamil. The Tamil pronunciation is Seri. In Kannada we have a similar kind of word, Keri. It's equivalent to settlement of people in one place. But Seri is somewhat similar to the word slum. So Seri child. About 3/4 of the children in school were Palar and Parayar. The school was not at Nadar Street near the church. You can see these very descriptions, which presents of course discriminations. 3/4 of the children in the school were Palar, right, and Parayar. That means they belong to these community, right? The school was at the Nadar Street. The school was located at the Nadar Street near the church for the convenience of those upper caste or wealthy people. But the majority who benefited were these people who belonged to Parayar and Pallar community. So this is one question again. You see why that social institutions like church, street are all, Nadar are all, school are all in the streets of the Naikars and Nadars. That's one question she raises somewhere earlier. They seem to think Harijan children are contemptible. The word Harijan is given by Mahatma Gandhi. So we see Gandhiji gave this name to those who really troubled and socially neglected part of India then, and she takes up that word again. So she seemed to think Harijan children are contemptible. They hated them, but used them for cheap labor. Look at this. They are used for cheap labor, carrying water to teacher's house, watering the plants, doing all kind of household chores in the school. So school chores, right, work. ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಿ. That means somewhere she questions that the people belong to her community, the children from her community are needed for these work, and why not they are treated equally in other cases? That's the question she is raising here, right? Rationally, Bama presents that question and asks those people who practiced that kind of discrimination in their life to think of it, right? So they seem to think of, next again. When in the 7th class, now she recounts experience from her 7th class, she would play with the other children of the street after the school hours. Another incident of her school, that was when she was playing in the evening. 2 or 3 children are related to her and the rest always played together as a group. Only 2-3 came with her. The remaining children played as a group. And she has some incident to mention here particularly. Let's see what is it. Playing on the big neem tree in front of the school, like hanging like bats upside down from its branches. See, you all know, some of you have seen the way birds hang on the trees. ಬಾವಲಿಗಳು ಹೇಗೆ ಕೂತಿರ್ತವೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಆ ಬಾವಲಿಗಳಂತೆ ಇವರು ಕೂಡ ಅಪ್ಸೈಡ್ ಡೌನ್, ತಲೆ ಕೆಳಗಾಗಿ ನೇತಾಡಿ, ರೈಟ್, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಗಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಬ್ರಾಂಚಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟ್ರೀಸ್. they were playing. Then they started a new game. What is that game? Game of running to the coconut palm and climbing it. So usually some coconut palms are bent like these, right? And they ran to the coconut palm and climbed on it. It is running from a distance One can reach up to the tree's top, ಮರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂಡ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದಿತ್ತು, and touch the coconut growing in it. Yes, it's usual that children get usually enamored of these things. They get a lot of entertainment out of that. Therefore, many came to the tree and they climbed to the top and touched the coconut. And many indeed, grabbed the coconut also. Some gave the twist also, twisted it too. But when Bama got there, the tender coconut fell at her touch. See, that's the incident. The children were frightened and they were ready to scatter, right? Because the teacher or the headmaster may come there and punish them, right? They all scattered. But to her surprise, when somebody came and asked probably, or even without that, all of them complained that it was she who plucked the tender coconut. Because everybody's role is there in making that coconut fall. Because everyone touched it, everyone twisted it. But the complaint, the onus was put on her. They just left it there and went home. This is one more incident where Bama recounts the way she was discriminated because she belonged to that caste. Again, the same thing continues with the master's words, headmaster's words. The next day, during the morning assembly, he says these harsh words. See, look at the words, how bitter those words were. He says, "You have shown us your true nature as a pariah," he said. "You climbed the coconut tree yesterday after everybody else had gone home and you stole a coconut. We cannot allow you inside this school. Stand outside." Look at the way headmaster warned her. Headmaster perception of her as a thief because she belongs to pariah community. The very perception of the whole community is evident from this incident, and she became very suffered, or it was very painful for her to bear this. So in the agony of being ashamed and insulted in front of all children, she went inside. See the way she was insulted as a child. It was a time of a battle between the pariahs and the chalias, and the caste to which headmaster belonged to. Headmaster belonged to the Chaliar community, and therefore it was an opportunity for him to insult a pariah, because there was hatredness between the both communities already. All children eyed at her and walked off to their classes. She was in such a shock and pain and did not know what to do. As a child, she was in a shock then. A teacher from her street told her to bring a letter from the priest. Yeah, because she was not allowed to come to school, She was told to be away from home, out of school, right outside, stay outside. And she was advised by some teacher to go and meet the priest. When she went to the priest, he also said the same. After all, you did it, right? He was not able to, support her in any way. He suspected her because she belonged to the same community, pariah community. And tears welled, she wept. He gave a letter ultimately. At last he gave a letter to return to school, and the headmaster heaped abuses as he allowed her and she sat in school class. That's the thing you see, the way caste-based ill-treatment, discrimination was present even in a school, and as a child she witnessed that, right? Then her experience at high school was not so different. Even at the high school, though she joined it in a neighboring town, the baggage of caste, the ill treatment that meted out to her in the name of caste continued. So she was surprised actually looking at the children, their clothes, and she also felt shy about her own condition. And she judged her peers in the hostel who had all sort of finery like jewels, wristwatches, as from the upper caste families, right? She judged that they belonged to upper caste families, looking at the riches they possessed. And the warden sister would scold the low caste or the poor children for no reason. Here also you can see the way they were treated. See, they used to call them for no reason, without any reason. Their caste was referred, and without any just cause, they were ill-treated. So we have one incident. Once again, you can see here that the warden sister's words are there here. Look at, you can see that begins like that. Look at that Seri children. When they stay here, they ate their fill and look as round as potatoes. But look at the state in which they come back from home, just skin and bone. See the way perception was there in that warden sister. Such a kind of attitude towards her community, her poverty-ridden state was there among them. And it was embarrassing to hear all these things, because they too paid the same fee what others had paid. What is wrong in eating, even if they eat? That's the question she is raising here. Going back home in the bus, if she is next to a Naikar woman, who would ask her place and street? This is another incident where that untouchability or caste-based ill treatment that she experienced, even on the bus. If a Naikar woman is next to her, that woman would ask, which street are you coming? Then what is your place? That is to know her caste, right? Upon knowing she is from Seri, the woman would move off to her another seat or ask the author to do the same. See, when the other woman, Naikar woman, come to know about her caste and her background, and she was asked to leave that place. If she continues the same, what happens? That is what Bama settled in her seat firmly, and they would prefer to stand all the way to sit next to her. Instead of sitting next to her, they would stand all the way to their home, right? Any other from the Seri, as they would be polluted, they were not ready to sit next to any other person from Seri. Instead of sitting with them, they would stand. That is the way they thought of these people belong to Seri, the people belong to the Paraya community, the people belong to the Dalit community. Told this several times to her mother when she went home, reported this, and her mother advised Bama to say to stay away from these things, right? So tell that Naikar woman that she belonged to some other different caste, to lie about her caste. But Bama is not ready to do that. She says, why should I pretend to be I am from a different caste? As the pain she felt remains all the same, isn't it? The pain doesn't reduce. If she says that she belongs to different caste, the ill treatment doesn't reduce. The pain in her heart and mind doesn't reduce. Therefore, she is not ready to tell a lie in that matter. Though many children are poor at studies, she got the best marks by studying hard. That is the next stage, you see, the progress she made. As I already told you, dear students, it is the difficulties and struggles that we face. They should not hinder our progress. Instead, they should speed up our progress. Whenever you face challenges, it means it's trying to, awaken your exact capacity to excel. Take that benefit or take that, advantage of that trouble and grow like anything. That's the thing you see here in Bama's case. She made the success in her studies, and she made all kind of improvements in her studies, which brought her friends, children as her friends, her fellow classmates as friends. So now she realized what Anand told. He told that if they can study and do well, work hard, they would get success. The same thing is received here. The teacher, sisters encouraged her and asked her to teach even the dull ones. And she felt overjoyed. She was happy at her progress. That's the next step in her high school life. Teachers still asking in high school about the Harijan students to stand up in assembly or during the lessons and write down their names. See, particularly when somebody marks at one's caste publicly and tell them to write it down and all that, that somewhere disturbs one's privacy, right? So that is even there today, publicly, revealing things. Why should they have to identify that somebody belongs to some caste in front of all? That's the question that she's raising. She felt bad and humiliating to do that, to stand up before all children and hanging their heads in shame that they belong to some kind of background. And if did something wrong, as if she did something wrong. So these are the things. But I think we can have a different perspective of this also that she's going to present here. awarded a prize for the top score among Harijan pupils of the district later in SSLC. When her achievement is widely appreciated, she felt pleased to be a Harijan child and she wasn't embarrassed. That's the next stage you notice here in her life. And she thought, why? Is it impossible for a Harijan to study or what? That's the question. She took it as a challenge and made progress. She felt a kind of pride, certain pride, a desire to prove that they can study. They could study just as well as others and to make progress. Thus, we see in her school life, though there are humiliations, there are discriminations, still she was able to make some progress amidst of all that. You can see here in the next stage at college. She started her college life in a village, in some distance, though that no one bothers about caste in such a big college. But still, there also she found some instances of caste differences. Some lecturers a lecturer asked Harijan students to stand up to collect names for the special tuition in the evenings for the scheduled caste students. And Bama stood up along with another girl. Others sat in contempt. They were angry at it. They were not ready to stand up before all that they belong to Harijan community or not like that. And she, in rage, told the teacher that she didn't want that tuition. It was the first voice of protest from Bama in the public, that is in her college, I think. She said she didn't want that kind of tuition. And we see, she realized that she would not get rid of caste business, whatever she studied, wherever she went. These are the things that she concluded here, and this in fact made her a wounded self. This wounded self finally produced Karukku, right? That is the way she became well known today, how she was able to bring that experience into a kind of protest through pen. That's why pen is mightier than sword sometimes, right? Yeah. Another incident is also there where how she was treated ill, that is in page number 22. So likewise, you see many examples in the novel support the idea of how she was ill-treated based on caste and how practice of untouchability was still in practice. Finally, at the end of her college life, she finished her graduation, went to a different college for her B.Ed. There also she faced the same kind of story, and she did not pay any attention to it. She did not give a toss about caste there. She dared to speak up for herself as she had the education then, she had the confidence, she had the ability, and she held her head high in such situations. She never worried in those cases. It is her education which provided some courage. Dear students, therefore you can see education can be a solution for many things, right? So including an escape from, in order to bring self-reliance, confidence, education is needed. So she questioned it, therefore, and she was able to shun at such kind of vagaries in society. Teachers and students also showed a kind of affection, a certain affection towards her because of her work. She completed whatever she took up, therefore they respected her. Because of education, she survived among those who showed caste differences and discriminations. If she were not an educated, she would have also suffered like others, and thus she completed her education and entered the sphere of workplace. Thus, through this part of the chapter 2, Bama focuses the caste differences and the caste discriminations meted out to them based on casteist mentality, right? Through the descriptions of different instances from her school and college life, she makes it clear. Then she also questions that caste-based ill-treatment and oppression meted out to them at school and college through those instances. And also, this part of the novel shows us the attitude of the upper caste people towards the lower caste people, even in an educated setup like school, college. And the growth of courage and the confidence in the author is also another interesting observation we can make in this part of the chapter. So thank you for listening to this video. We will continue the discussion of the novel in the next video. Thank you.